Opponent leads off with a Battlefield Forge into a Gleeful. Alright, here it comes. So today we're going to be playing Jeskai Convoke. It's one of the top aggro deck options in standard at the moment. Convoke's main strategy is to turbo out Knight Errant of Eos through cheap creatures such as Novice Inspector and Spyglass Siren. These creatures create artifacts that combo really well with Gleeful Demolition, which allows you to convoke out a Knight Errant of Eos. As for the main win conditions, aside from creating a large board state of small creatures, Imidane's Recruiter is the main way the deck pushes through damage. Warden of the Inner Sky is another way the deck can utilize the mass amount of creatures that it creates, and it's able to go over the top in board states that are stalled. Case of the Gateway Express acts as both a removal spell and a way to push through additional damage. The main flex slots you'll see across different deck lists include Sheltered by Ghosts, Mockingbird, Arabella, and Deface Gallery. Deciding which flex slot to play will come down to what you expect in the given metagame. If you expect a lot of aggro, cards like Arabella and Sheltered by Ghosts will be better. If you expect a more broad metagame with more mid-range decks, cards like Mockingbird and Deface Gallery will be better. For today, I'll be playing with a split between Arabella and Sheltered by Ghosts. Sheltered by Ghosts has proven to be an excellent method of unconditional removal, and Arabella lines up super well into the aggro matchups, which is considered unfavorable. The metabase is really quite simple. A playset of the Jeskai fast lands combined with the pain lands to fill out the rest of the slots, and just the one basic because Demolition Field and Assassin's Trophy do exist and they occasionally come up. The deck can be quite complex to navigate, as you'll see with some of the key decisions and board states we get into during the gameplay. The limited card advantage and the limited card selection in the deck means that the key decisions often define an entire game. Also, knowing when it's correct to attack into favorable blocks for the opponent is tricky to navigate. Since board wipes are continued to be trimmed from mid-range sideboards, it's a great time to try Convoke in standard. With the quick deck overview out of the way, let's get into some matches. Alright, we're on the play. Opening hand looks pretty good. We have one drop, we have Gleeful Demolition, we also have Arabella. This hand really does showcase why Arabella is quite good. They're going to need a cut down or a go for the throat on this Arabella, otherwise they're about to take a lot of damage. Opponent mults for 5, Seachrome into the Novice. Opponent leads off with the Yavimaya Coast and analyze the pollen. So we're going to be playing against the Temur combo deck. They get a mountain. We draw another Seachrome Coast, so here we're just going to lead off with the Vantage into Arabella. Let's force them to have the Room. Forgetting the name of this card, but the Room that deals damage to a creature equal to the number of cards you have in hand. Opponent plays their mountain and looks like they don't have anything, which is great for us. This Arabella is going to deal some damage. Draw a Spire Bluff Canal. Play this Spire Bluff. Start off with the Gleeful on the Clue token. And let's flash in the Resolute Reinforcements. Opponent has the Scorching Dragonfire for Arabella. That's unfortunate. We still have a very formidable board here. Opponent plays an Up the Beanstalk. We draw a Sheltered by Ghosts. Not great here. So we'll punch with everything. Play a land, play a Novice Inspector. Opponent plays that this town ain't big enough, so they are in desperation mode. We're in really good shape here for the game. And step, we're going to crack the Clue. Pick up a Warden. Let's just attack with everything. Here, I'm not going to cast any spells. There's no need to overextend into the board here. Opponent needs a board wipe. That's the only way they come back, so there's no need to play any cards. And yep, that's the game. Let's move on to sideboarding. For sideboarding here, it's pretty simple. We're just going to be boarding out the 2 Clockwork Percussionists, 2 Sheltered by Ghosts, and 1 of the cases in favor of 4 Torch the Tower and 1 copy of Rest in Peace. Game number 2, we're on the draw here. Our hand is quite awkward. We get a mulligan this one. A 6-card hand here is pretty similar. I'm going to keep this one. I think it's slightly better than the average 5-card hand. Opponent keeps a 7, leading off with a Botanical Sanctum into a Bushwhack, grabbing a mountain again. We draw a Torch to Tower. Quite nice. Opponent plays the mountain that they got off the Bushwhack, and they're going to play another Bushwhack. And they grab a Forest off this second Bushwhack. Spyglass is not too bad. But here I think we're not going to crack the map. We're just going to wait and play this Resolute Reinforcements in the opponent's end step. Try and be as mana efficient as possible. Plus, we don't really want to waste this map into a removal spell if the opponent has a removal spell. Opponent plays a second Botanical Sanctum and just passes. End step will play the Reinforcements. We draw a Seachrome Coast. Here we're just going to go to combat. Again, don't want to crack this map into open mana. The lack of resources we have this game means that we really need to get this map trigger to resolve. Second main phase, we'll play out Fastland and just another Spyglass. Probably slight error here. Probably should have tapped the Seachrome Coast to cast the Spyglass, because now we can't represent that we have 2 Torch the Tower. But here we are going to torch this Floodcaller. The question is, do we want to bargain to get the Scry? And I think we do. Warden is not amazing here. Yeah, I think we're just going to bottom this Warden. I think it's safe to assume our opponent doesn't cast any interaction spells just yet outside of their Bushwhack. They may be holding on to all of their red interaction. They played an Enduring Vitality, which, yeah, is not fantastic into our already cast Torch of the Tower. We drew an Imidane's Recruiter. Okay, that is exactly what we're kind of after. I think the best thing to do here is just attack for 2 and then play a tap land and say go. We'll cast the trained troops side of Ibadene's Recruiter next turn. Attacking with their Enduring, we won't block. And doesn't cast any spells. Okay. Adhikar wastes the draw. Not fantastic. Let's go to combat and attack for 2 first with the Spyglasses again. And yeah, let's just throw out the trained troops. They just hardcast this town ain't big enough. We draw another land, getting a bit punished here for keeping a land heavy opening hand. I believe here we are just forced to cast the Imidanes. If we just sit around and wait, they are going to get over the top of us quite quickly, and we're not dealing enough damage per turn. It's also a very threatening attack. It makes this town big enough not too good as well, because we only have one good target to bounce. They get a Dragonfire, the Imidanes, it's fine. Second removal spell from them would be pretty brutal. This does mean that we can get in a map token. We got another Spyglass Siren on top. I think I'm going to leave that there, honestly. 1 card in hand from the opponent. So yeah, it's basically a top deck war and we have flyers. Yep, take 3 again. Attack with just the Spyglass. Removal spell, pretty nice one from them. Let's play out the other Spyglass. We are going to fire this map off. We hit another Adhikar waste. A bit unlucky here with the draws, but you can't do much about it. We will take 3 here again. Definitely looking to chump block with this soldier token in a future turn, but not right now. We do have a lot of live draws with like an Imidanes or something, so for this turn I think we can definitely not block. Opponent casts a Lithomatic Barrage on the Spyglass. Arabella, not a bad one. Does mean we can start gaining some life, but does not attack through this Enduring Vitality. So actually, it probably is a bad one. Take 3 once again. If we do top deck a Torch the Tower, we really need to be able to sack this token. Spyglass Siren is not bad, actually. Crack this map on the Arabella, and hopefully they don't have a removal spell. We are well behind here, so we kind of need to take a little bit of a risk. So, you got fair enough. They draw another Enduring Vitality. Resolute keeps us alive. We don't have a lot of outs here, but we shall keep playing. Novice Inspector. Let's play it out. Draw a card with the clue. Gleeful Demolition. We're just going to scoop it up and go to game 3. Game 3, we're on the play. I think I'm keeping this. We have the tools we kind of want. We have a solid curve. We're just missing blue. We can apply a lot of pressure to the board really early. We draw a Spy Bluff Canal, which is very good. We'll be mana efficient here and just cast the Resolute in their end step. Opponent plays out another fast land into the Thunder Trap Trainer. They reveal a Torch the Tower. Cast this Resolute. Second Gleeful Demolition. I kind of want to go all in here. Play the Spyglass and double Gleeful. First, let's just attack with Novice Inspector. They block, fair play. They're thinking about it. Always fun to make the opponent think. Let's play out the Spyglass, make a map. Pop here, and no removal spells, please, good sir. I mean, board wipe. They already have a removal spell. Arabella is actually a very nice draw because we're going to force our opponent to cast this Torch the Tower from their hand. So yeah, they are going to cast it. Also stops me from scrying. We cast our Arabella. Opponent is going to take 8 here. Opponent casts a second Thunder Trap Trainer. Hopefully whiffing on a removal spell. They take a Storm Chaser's Talent. Very interesting. They play a Bushwhack, grabbing an island. So they could play their Storm Chaser's Talent and have a Torch to the Tower for the Arabella. Warden is quite interesting. Yeah, we're going to go to combat and swing with everything. They do have a second Torch to the Tower. So here, if we attack with everything, we're going to only deal 7. Otherwise, we can put 3 counters on this Warden of the Inner Sky and really force them to just have something like a Lithomatic Barrage. Wow, this is really close. I think I am just going to play this Warden. Warden to the bottom. Resolute to the bottom. Adhikar waste to the bottom. Oh, this town ain't big enough. Very interesting. This is now quite bad for us. They're going to try and search for a Lithomatic Barrage. Well, better lucky than good. Yep, opponent casts the other Thunder Trap. Imidane's Recruiter off the top would most likely win us the game. Imidane's Recruiter. Come on. Let's go. That's another Adhikar waste. Yep, sick. So, what's the play? I believe we have to attack with everything. I think doing nothing is a lot worse for us. If they block with all 3 creatures, they'll take 5, go to 6. So, yep, they take 6 to 5. I think we played this game pretty well. Opponent gets a Flood Caller off of a Analyze the Pollen, and that will do it. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw here. We have a decent 7, so we've got to keep. Opponent also keeps a 7. Leads off with an Inspiring Vantage. And Inspector. Looks like we're in the mirror. We draw our own Inspector for the turn. Here I'm going to lead off with a Inspector as well. Opponent leads off with a Battlefield Forge into a Gleeful. Alright, here it comes. Alright, they don't have the Knight. Very, very good. Draw a Warden. Okay, so Warden's very nice here. Warden is one way that we're able to go over the top in the mirror. We're just going to play Spire Bluff and say go. Need to get these Resolute Reinforcements out of our hand. Combat attacks with just both the Novice Inspectors. So here the question is, do I want to play the Resolute and double block one of these? I think I do. I think I'm going to plan on playing my case on turn 4. So we're going to double block one and then just block one with the Novice Inspector. I'm not sure what they have in their hand. They might have another Resolute Reinforcements. Here our mana is starting to get a little bit awkward. We only have the one white source. Similar play to last turn. Play a Spyglass and then play the Reinforcements on their turn. Going to try and look for an opening to play a case and trigger it on the same turn. Case is quite awkward in the mirror because, yeah, it's quite bad if you don't trigger it on the turn that you play it. Or solve it, rather. Opponent plays their own Resolute Reinforcements as expected. Cracks their clue. Good signs for us. Hopefully they don't have like a Knight Errant here. Yep, they do nothing with their attacks. Play the second Reinforcements. And we draw our own Immodanes. So what I want to do here is actually play the Warden and start to get some value off of it. Second case is not good here. Also not great. Draw a card with the clue. Spyglass is okay. Means that we have multiple plays to make next turn. If the opponent does have an Immodane's Recruiter, we take 10. It looks like the opponent top deck a Knight Errant, which is very unfortunate. This does make our case play very, very good. As long as they don't get something like a Reinforcements plus an Immodane's off of this Knight Errant, we should be in decent shape. Opponent gets a Novice Inspector and a Warden, and they are going to play out both. I think the opponent does have an Immodane's Recruiter. Spells out death for us very quickly. Another case for the draw, not good at all. So I think here we're kind of forced to play one of the cases, hitting their Warden. Then I'm going to play the second Spyglass. This Attica Waste, I think we'll stay on top. Means that we can play a Novice Inspector and Immodane's Recruiter next turn. We just have to hope that the opponent doesn't have their own Immodanes. Pack with 3 creatures to trigger the case. I'm going to have to leave these creatures back to chump block, just in case the opponent does have an Immodanes. We do survive if they have their own Immodanes. And this also means that we will have lethal with our flyers. So I think here we're somehow in decent shape. Okay. Let's see how this goes. All right, let's block. Very good. We get there. Wow. Was slightly too close for comfort, but I think we played that really well. Sweet, let's go on the sideboarding. So for sideboarding, when we're going to be on the draw, I like to take out the 4 cases, just because they can be quite slow and clunky, and the 2 Clockwork Percussionists. And we're going to be boarding in the other 2 copies of the Sheltered by Ghosts and the playset of Torch the Tower. So we're just going to be replacing some of the cases with Torch the Tower just to be a bit more mana efficient when being on the draw and being on the back foot. Game number 2 here. Opening hand, very, very awkward. This is gonna be a mull. This hand looks a lot better. Put back the Battlefield Forge. Arabella plus Sheltered is great. Opponent not having a 1-drop is fantastic. Seachrome Coast is a fantastic draw. We get a lead off with a Spyglass here in case the opponent has a Torch the Tower. So this is interesting. They get to 7 without a 1-drop. Looks like they do have the Resolute Reinforcements, however. We draw our own Resolute Reinforcements. So the question is, do we play Arabella here or do we play our own Resolute Reinforcements on their turn? I think I'm inclined to play the Resolute Reinforcements. Arabella plus Warden next turn is a nice little combo. Plus I do kind of like sandbagging this Arabella for when the opponent does use their removal spells on other things first. So we're just going to go to combat, attack with the flyer. Yep, opponent plays out their Reinforcements as expected. Opponent plays third land in Shivan Reef. Or a Mockingbird, okay, interesting. Targeting our Spyglass, fair enough. And they play their own Warden. They tap their summoning 6 creatures for the Warden. Wow, they have a Gleeful Demolition as well. Very explosive. And they get a Convoke. Really, really good draw here from the opponent. Makes sense why they didn't play a 1-drop. Their hand had everything except for a 1-drop, which you keep those. And they reveal 2 Novice Inspectors off of the Knight. Play out our Reinforcements here. Draw a Shivan Reef. Play the Seachrome Coast. Think I'm going to take a slight risk. Yeah, I think I am going to play the Sheltered by Ghosts. The Arabella at the moment is attacking quite poorly. We just tap these 3, put the land on the bottom. Cast a Shelter on the Warden, because this means if we top deck any creature, then our Warden is a Vigilance, Flying, Attacking, Lifelink, Unkillable. So yeah, I think I'm going to make this play. This is the way we can come back in this game, making our opponent's own Warden. And we're going to just pray that our opponent does not have a Torch the Tower. Okay, it looks like the opponent doesn't have a removal spell. If we can top deck a creature here, should be game over. They cracked the clue off the novice. We're not going to block here. We need all of our creatures. Normally we'd trade my Spyglass for Spyglass, but we do need our creature. Okay, so this is a very big draw step. Just need any creature. Come on, deck. Sheltered by Ghost. I think what I'm going to do here is play the Sheltered by Ghost on the Warden, taking our opponent's Knight. This way, our Warden can basically never be killed now. Gleeful Demolition, great. We'll leave that there. We'll play out the Arabella and pass. So I think here, even if opponent has an Imidane's Recruiter, we still survive. Looks like a Mockingbird. A Mockingbird will be very interesting here. Yep, so opponent's going to start to grow their own Warden. I think this is a good demonstration of why you don't sideboard out Warden in the mirror. Whilst both players are trying to board into removal spells and be a bit more controlling, Warden is just so powerful and can take over the game itself, which is being showcased here on both sides. Like the most important card on both players' boards is their own Warden. So opponent activating Warden. So this is also extremely important at why we targeted the second Shelter by Ghost on the Warden. Our Warden's going to get big enough to attack through their Warden, and they can't threaten to block our Warden and then cast a removal spell like Torch the Tower on our Warden to kill it, because it has Ward 4. Unless our opponent has a Lithomatic Barrage, we win the game, I believe. No way. No way. No way. Not 2 matches in a row. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Okay, Gleeful, fantastic. And opponent scryed all their cards at the bottom. Let's get off to the races. Tap here, tap here, tap here. Scry that land to the bottom. Gleeful, our map. Tap, tap, tap. Scry that land to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If the opponent blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They take 7, go to 9. Then they'll take 8. Wow, so we're 1 damage off just exactly killing our opponent. I believe that we still attack with everything. We're going to be gaining 14 life. But even if our opponent top decks in Imidanes, they can't kill us on the swing back. Put the opponent to 9. They'll block the Arabella. Here is awkward for them, right? They're on 1 now. So if they try and tap some of their creatures to get their Warden big enough to try and outmuscle our Warden, they're going to die. So they've got to be a bit careful here. Opponent activates Warden once. Wow, opponent found War Leader's Call. Pretty strong here. We will not block. We draw a Gleeful, which is not good. War Leader's Call was really good for them. Scry land to the bottom. So yeah, we're just going to have to try and activate our own Warden here. Really good. Put our Torch on top to try and hit this Spyglass. So I think here we just have to fade 1 draw step. Obviously, if the opponent hits like an Imidanes, I think we're in trouble. But aside from that, not much else that can beat us here. Okay, so opponent top decks. Imidanes Recruiter. Ooh. Highly unfortunate. We're dead. Wow. Opponent blind top decked Imidane's Recruiter. Super unfortunate. That's the game. We're going to have to move on to game 3. Quick sideboarding adjustment before game 3. Because we're going to be on the play, I'm going to sideboard in 2 of the cases back in and sideboard 2 Torch the Towers out. Because we can afford to be a little bit more aggressive here. Alright, game number 3 on the play. Yep, hand looks pretty good. Let's keep it. If we top deck a Gleeful Demolition, we have the nuts. Opponent also keeps a 7. They lit off with a Seachrome Coast into a Warden. Top deck an Imidanes. Gonna pass here. Thought about casting the Sheltered by Ghost, but I think guaranteeing ourselves the turn 3 Knight is way more important. Yep, opponent plays Spyglass into a Novice. They activate their Warden. No attack. We'll cast our Knight. Top deck a Warden. Free to cast with the Knight. We will get a second Warden and a Reinforcements. Alright, so really looking just for the 3rd land here. We should be in really good shape. Opponent is going to start to get in with this Warden though. So we're probably forced to cast the Shelter by Ghost next turn. The good news is though we have 5 creatures already on the battlefield. So we can probably cast this Knight and the Shelter by Ghost next turn together. Looks like opponent has a Mockingbird. Likely to copy a Novice Inspector. Copy a Spyglass. And they have their own Knight. So we're really hoping this Knight does not reveal an Imidane's Recruiter. Reveals another Warden and another Knight. Play out their Warden. We draw the 3rd land. Start off with casting the Knight for 5. Revealing just a Warden. That is what it is. Then gonna play Sheltered by Ghosts on the Knight. The opponent's Warden. Opponent casts a second Mockingbird. Targeting an Inspector this time. Opponent casts their second Knight. Okay, opponent hits a Spyglass and an Imidane's Recruiter. Really bad for us. Opponent activates their Warden. Not many ways I think we can come back. I think we're going to need a case into some additional things. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Opponent cracks the map, revealing a Battlefield Forge. Plays the Battlefield Forge. Opponent reveals a Gleeful Demolition, which is the perfect card. Opponent activates their Warden. Wow, that's a really interesting attack. I don't know why they attacked with their knight there. If we can draw a white source. Man, if we drew a white source, we just won. Because if we draw a white source, we play our Warden, we cast our Immodanes, and then we are dealing 13 plus 5. Here, I think it's pretty simple. We're just going to Sheltered by Ghosts their Warden. So I think we're just going to attack with both knights here. Yeah, we really could have snuck that game, but no such luck. Looks like they're opting to not cast their Immodanes Recruiter. Very interesting. We will elect to not block. Okay, opponent elects to cast Train Troops. Really looking for a white source here. Opponent has 5 creatures. Another Knight Errant. So here I think we're forced to cast the Resolute Reinforcements, cast out the Knight. We're going to need quite a few chump blockers. We hit an Arabella. This has been a really good game. Just unfortunate that we couldn't draw a second white source in the top 15-ish cards. Okay, opponent cracks a map to start off with, revealing a Destroy Evil. Pretty good one. They should probably leave that on top. I think here the opponent's draw has been a bit more favored. However, we have had spots to where we can win, so not to say that we've just been down and out of it the whole game. I think the opponent's played pretty well, except for a few miscalculations, like that turn where they just attack with the knight. Opponent draws their Destroy Evil, casts that on one of the Sheltered by Ghosts, and they're now deciding the attack. Draw a white source, please. Oh, come on. I mean, I did ask for it. There's probably a few decisions we could have made throughout this game that might have changed things a little bit, but I'll have to look back. A lot happened and the board is really complicated. Really close there. Didn't get the white source soon enough. Damn, really close one. We'll move on to the next. Don't forget to check out the free sideboard guide I've posted on the Mox field. Just click on the link in the description down below. Yeah, I think this hand's really close, but in the dark, and we don't know the matchup, I think it is safer to mull. And yep, this hand looks a lot nicer. I think it's going to be the Attakar waste. I think on the draw, again, I'm just more inclined to bottom that extra land instead of bottoming a spell, especially because we have ways to be really mana efficient on the first 3 turns anyway. Blooming Marsh into a Llanowar Elf, so we are playing against Golgari here. We top deck a second Reinforcements, so we're just going to play out the Novice Inspector and say go. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have a Glisser. I spoke way too soon. Opponent slams a Glisser. We top deck our 3rd Resolute Reinforcements. Just going to play out our land and pass the turn. Yep, opponent attacks a Glisser. We're just not block. Unfortunately, we don't have an answer to any creature at the moment. Top decking a Case would be quite nice to deal with the Glisser, but it looks like the opponent has a Preacher here, which is also pretty bad. Just going to play our Resolute Reinforcements end step. Draw a Warden. Decent, although the opponent is likely to be holding onto removal spells. But I don't think we can play around that here. We really need this 3rd land. This Glisser is just going to take over the game without us hitting a 3rd land. Arabella, quite bad. Put it to bottom. Crack the Gleeful here. Warden once again. 2nd Arabella to the bottom. Man, things just aren't going our way at the moment, but that's all good. They'll probably turn around soon. Opponent attacks with both of their 3s. We're going to not block. Opponent plays a Mishra's Foundry for the turn. A little unconventional from the Golgari list. And a Sheldred. Wow, Case. Okay, Case was tremendous. We are back. Let's slam this Case. Hop the Sheldred. We don't have to activate Warden here. I don't think we have to search for 3rd land anymore. This Case is now going to be activated. I think the extra 2 damage that we gain by not activating the Warden is better. And they're now also forced to pop the Case with the Glisser. Good news is if we don't have top deck the 3rd land, we can still prolong the game. Yep, opponent has a go for the throat for the Warden. Makes sense. 3rd land, please. Thank you. If the opponent has 2nd rule spell, we do win. Yep. Okay, we have exact. And yeah, we get there. Nice. Let's move on to sideboarding. So for sideboarding, I like to board out both of the Arabella, 2 of the Wardens, and 2 of the Sheltered by Ghosts, because these cards are quite bad into the opponent's removal package. And then boarding in 2 Destroy Evil to hedge against the bigger creatures, such as the Sentinel, the Preacher, Sheldred, things like that. 4 Protect the Negotiators to protect us from sweepers, and then some of the opponent's bigger threats. Game 2, our hand is quite awkward. Opponent has kept a 7. I think this hand is just too awkward, so we're gonna mulligan. This hand has no lands, mulligan. This hand has 1 land. We're gonna keep bottoming a Resolute Reinforcements. I think it's gonna be the Destroy Evil. Try and top deck a white source. We top deck another Destroy Evil. Okay, so our mulligan makes us look like a genius. But correlation does not necessarily equal causation, so we're probably still not a genius. No cut down, nice. Opponent plays a Mishra's Foundry into a Mosswood Dread Knight. We top deck a Clockwork Percussionist. I think we're just gonna Gleeful here. Actually, ooh, that was pretty bad. I should have definitely played the Clockwork. Give myself a better opportunity to top deck a second land next turn. Opponent plays a Preacher. Boom, there it is, the Adhikar Waste. Okay, so we got a bit lucky there. Didn't get too punished with our play last turn. Here I think I want to just play to the board. So I'm going to play out both of the 1-drop creatures. I think I'm going to try and hold this Destroy Evil for as long as possible. Wow, opponent attacks with both of their creatures. But we're just not going to block. We draw a Knight Errant, casting that bad boy. So I think we're going to take a Knight and a Warden. I'd love to take both Knights, but I do think the opponent has like a go for the throat. So when they go for the throat this Knight, when we Gleeful, I want to make sure I'm able to cast at least the second Knight this turn. I'm not going to hit the Percussionist here just because I want to get the value off of that on some later turns. Oh, okay. I did not account for cut down plus go for the throat. Wow, okay. Thankfully, the opponent doesn't have the go for the throat. Almost got mega punished. Another Knight and a Novice Inspector offer the second Knight trigger. And wow, opponent just scoops it up. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Right, next match we're on the play here. We keep getting these awkward opening hands. I think this hand's a mulligan. This hand is also quite terrible, so we're going to go to 5 here. Almost have the combo here. We're going to keep putting back Sheltered by Ghost and Siren. Wouldn't normally put back the Novice, but I do like keeping a white creature for the Knight. Here we're going to lead off with a Monkey, because if we do top deck a Gleeful, then we can at least cast both the Novice plus the Gleeful. Opponent leads off with a Copperline Gorge and a Hired Claw, so playing its Gruul Prowess. Boom! And there it is! The Gleeful Demolition. Rewarded for our 1-drop play last turn. You love to see it. Do the old faithful. We will add an Arabella and a second Knight to our hand. Best draw so far, I think, of the matches we've played. Opponent plays a land, just passes. Third land. Very, very nice. Kick things off with a Knight for 5. The Imidane's Recruiter. Very, very huge. And we also hit a Warden, which is fantastic. Cast the Imidane's Recruiter next turn, hopefully for the victory. Punch in with our Knight. Play out the land. Cast the Arabella. And opponent scoops it up. Let's move on to sideboarding. So for sideboarding, I like to board out the 2 Clockwork Percussionists, as well as 2 Wardens and 2 Resolute Reinforcements. In favor for the 4 Torch the Tower and 2 Sheltered by Ghost, just to try and control the board a bit more. Opening hand for game 2, just not good enough. We don't have the white source, which we require. Keep this one. Now the question is, do I bottom the second Torch the Tower or the Sheltered by Ghost? I think here I'm inclined to bottom the Sheltered. Would rather not take the risk of them removing our Warden. Opponent leads off again with the Hired Claw. We draw a Sheltered by Ghost, which is very cool. Makes our mulligan decision look great once again. Then I'm going to play a Torch. I'm not really keen on playing the Sheltered by Ghost on turn 2, just because of how bad it is into opponent's third land plus a shock effect. Opponent plays a Heartfire Hero, Case, which is not fantastic here. We are kind of just looking for mana sources. Play out the Warden. Can't fire off this Torch, unfortunately, just because an opponent's Monstrous Rage would save the Heartfire Hero. Opponent plays a tap land, does not attack. We draw a second Case. We can bargain an enchantment. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna cast one of the cases here. I think my plan, I forgot about bargaining an enchantment, but I do expect the opponent to have a Monstrous Rage. Yep, they have the Monstrous Rage. 4 mana. For a Manifold Mouse? Yep, so you're going to be hitting us with a 4/4 Double Strike creature. Will not block. Nice. We hit the land. Very, very good. Play the land. Cast this Sheltered by Ghost. So the question is, if we Sheltered by Ghost the monster roll token, opponent can't just shock the Warden and get a lot of value out of us. This is actually really tough. I think I do want to do that, just because if the opponent's holding a shock really bad, but if they do get this Manifold Mouse back, no, okay, I'm gonna hit the Heartfire Hero. We're gonna hit the Heartfire Hero because even if they have a shock for the Warden on this turn, we still get to kill it with the Torch the Tower once they get it back. Do I want to attack with the Warden? I think the answer is yes. If they decide to double block, we can blow them out. I believe they shouldn't block. The fact that they're thinking about this here leads me to believe they don't have a shock in their hand, which is very good for us. However, should not count my chickens before they hatch. Yep, no blocks. Fantastic. Ideal scenario would be playing this Case on the Manifold Mouse token. Opponent plays a 5th land and they have a Torch the Tower. Okay. Yep, that resolves. Gonna let them go to combat to target the Heartfire hero, and we're going to torch the tower, bargaining away this case, because I really want to hit a 1-drop here. Sheltered by Ghost, not good enough here. Hit a land, not very good. Oh, my mistake. They do have the Restless Ridgeland. Yeah, they get there. Let's go to game 3. Giving up 3 on the play. I think this type of hand is a trap, so I'm going to mulligan, and this hand is a lot better. Put back one of the Novice Inspectors, play out the Novice Inspector turn 1, do them dirty just like game 1. Opponent has a Burst Lightning for the Novice Inspector. Fair play. We top deck a Warden. Okay, Warden's very interesting. Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to play the Warden. I'm going to keep this land. This third land is really important, and plus being able to go Gleeful plus Case next turn is a very, very nice combo. Opponent plays out a Rockface Village. They cast a Hide Claw, and they have a Lithomatic Barrage for the Warden. Hit the map with the Gleeful Demolition, and then play out Case. Attack for 1. Okay, so they have 2 more Hide Claws. Not great. Knight Errant, fantastic. Pass that boy. Wow, we hit 0 creatures. Okay, that was quite bad. Oh well, crack the clue, top deck a land, play the land. Opponent plays out a 4th land, and just attacks with the 1 Hide Claw. So yeah, we're not going to block. I believe they have a Monstrous Rage. Be interesting to see if they just fire it off. Nope, they just put a counter on the Hide Claw. Seachrome Coast, which is really bad. We do get to attack with everything and trigger this case, so we are starting to race pretty well. If they want to Monstrous Rage this Hide Claw and then block with the Knight, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so they just block a 1/1, unlock the case. Now the racing situation is pretty interesting. Just gonna attack with the 1 Hide Claw again. They're likely to activate the other Hide Claw so they can block this Goblin. Yep, Sheltered by Ghost. That is a fantastic draw. Don't believe there's anything that can stop this except for Double Shock, but I think if they had a shock they would have already cast it. Okay, so they Burst Lightning the Spyglass, makes sense. Let's attack them down to 2. We gain 6, so we're really unlikely to die this turn, and we get there. Very nice. Yeah, some favorable draws and then some unfavorable draws and then a favorable draw. Got there in the end. Move on to the last match. Unfortunately, match 5 was super boring as the opponent just mulliganed to 4 in both games, so there was nothing really notable to take away from the match other than don't mulligan to 4. Sorry, opponent. So the misplay of the video definitely is in match number 2. This is where I tapped the 2 creatures with the map in order to put a counter on the Warden. I failed to count the amount of damage that I'd actually pushing through overall, and if I didn't tap these 2 creatures and simply attack with the 2 creatures with the other creatures in combat, the opponent would have been forced to chump block their Warden onto my Warden and not be able to block the Arabella. In hindsight, I think this is a better play to not tap the 2 creatures and only activate the Warden once. The opponent still needed to draw really well to get out of it, but it is a really minor misplay that likely cost us the match. Thanks for watching the video. Also, don't forget to check out the free sideboard guide via the MacLeod link down below. If you have any questions or comments about the sideboard guide or gameplay, please leave a comment down below as well. And as always, best of luck for your upcoming tournaments.